A number of years ago, I met a lady through an email she sent me. She had just read my book, Treasures of Darkness, and wrote to me for some help. In time, as we conversed on social media, I heard her story. This lady had been abused as a child by various family members. She remembers often sitting in an apple tree, sometimes praying that God would help her, and at other times praying that she would die. Each time, she was made to come down from the apple tree, and the abuse not only continued, but got worse. Eventually, she left home and lived in the streets from the age of 11 to 19. However, whilst living on the streets, she was brutally beaten and raped. Eventually, she managed to get a job cleaning toilets, and at the age of 23, she became a foster mum. A few years later, she was asked by the social services if she would adopt two brothers who had special needs, one with quite severe difficulties. What she didn't realise was, until after she had adopted these boys, was that she wouldn't be allowed then to foster any longer because of the boys' special needs. This meant that she had no income coming in, and therefore it meant that she had to move out of her rented home. She could no longer afford the rent. She eventually moved to Yorkshire, where she had found a school which was ideally suited for the older boys' needs. At the time of writing to me, she and the boys lived in a caravan. In her email, she told me that before she moved to Yorkshire, she was in total despair. Her older son's behaviour was very difficult, and he had been excluded from school as his behaviour was becoming a danger to other children. She asked everyone she could think of for professional advice and help, but no one could help her. She explained that one day, as she sat on her sofa raging at God, Mother Nature, or whoever was responsible for everything that was happening to her, she shouted, "Do you enjoy seeing my pain, my fear, my despair? Do you get a thrill out of what is happening to me? Have I not gone through enough?" As she cried and released her anger, she suddenly saw a figure in white standing in front of her. The figure said nothing, just held out her arms wide as though inviting her for a hug. She walked towards the figure, and immediately she felt like a blanket was being wrapped around her. The feeling of that blanket and that comfort lasted for about 3 days. During this time, she began to hear a still small voice, which she now knows was the Lord. The voice told her to go and speak to a woman called Karen, whose son went to the same school as her son's. She didn't know this woman, but managed to get her phone number from another mum at the school. She sent her a text and said, "I'm sure this will seem weird to you, but I have been told to contact you as you would have the answers I am looking for." Her response was astonishing. Karen told her that when she had texted, she was on her way out of the house to go to her house. Karen had heard from God that she should go to this woman's house and give her a copy of my book, Treasures of Darkness. It was through reading that book that she contacted me, and then after a few emails, she prayed to accept the Lord into her life. This lady has had a tough life, and still life is very hard for her. But I think she is an amazing woman. She faces tough situations every day, but she is proving that God is able to do abundantly above all we can ask or even imagine. Keep trusting God. And know that no matter what we face, He loves you. And He can turn any bad situation around for good. That is what He did in this situation. And I know He can do the same for you.